you very much. Thanks for the warm welcome. So I really like the conference here. It's awesome that you have this kind of conference, and I would love to have such a good conference also as well in Germany. So really, it's great to be here. And I would like to talk today about Android test automation. 1 year later. Why 1 year later? Because more about a year ago, I started working on the mobile web driver Android, and I was working before on another automation framework. It was also for automating native and hybrid apps, and so that's the reason I would like it. It's kind of a lessons learned talk, but it's mainly about, of course, Android, and just some words about me. So my name is Dominik Dary. I work in the European productivity and test engineering team, and I'm a software engineer, and that's the way how you contact me. And so that's the agenda I prepared. So I would like to talk a little bit about what's different about mobile testing compared to traditional testing. Then also about the benefit having a well-defined protocol for testing, for automated testing in general. Then I show you Android. Then why it's important to make it as easy as possible for the testers. How we write tests. Talk a little bit about the test infrastructure.
Could you please speak a bit louder?
Sure. Sorry. And then I would like also to show you how we write automated tests that are going about over multiple devices with different types, and then a short conclusion. So in general, mobile testing is different compared to the traditional testing. You have this high fragmentation, all these devices that are a little bit different, these small input devices, and of course there are different things to do. So that's just a part of the mind map of mobile testing, what kind of activities needs to be done. So there you find out also the link to the full web page where you find the full image. So of course you have different platforms to test. You have all the platforms have different versions. You have different, for example, you can use this motion sensor, and you need to test this in a different way. And so their mobile is really a challenge, and I think you can automate a lot in general, but it doesn't make sense at all in all cases. Sometimes it's just better to automate certain parts and to test other parts manually, because it's just easier and simpler to test it, or the tools are not ready to do it now, and so there's a lot of things that needs to be done. And also another thing I think that's important is in general what's quality, or what's agile testing, and there's also this kind of test automation pyramid, and I like this very much. It's more like about how to write automated tests and what's the right ratio in a project. It's the traditional thing is that you write a lot of unit tests, some less integration tests, and have them some end-to-end test as the tip of the iceberg. And I think it's a good picture, but I like also this picture very, very well, because it's so the sources, so Gojko Edžić created it. So I think a product has a good quality if it works how we expect it, so how it's specified, and this can be verified through manual testing, with test automation, with different stuff, and of course the performance is very important, and also the new feature that has been released must be usable and also useful for the customers, and in the end the whole feature must be successful. And in some of the teams what we do is that we build into our Android apps analytics to make sure to really measure, to see if those features are important, and then we have kind of a feedback loop where we see, okay, the stuff that we thought about in the beginning we add into the product, and then later on we really make sure that it's also successful and that there's a benefit for the customers. And that's I find a really good picture about agile testing, about what is quality, and The next topic is about one protocol to rule them all. The idea is really, you probably know Selenium, and Selenium is built on, there's this JSON wire protocol in the middle. It's a well-defined protocol. So inside the Selenium project, it's called the JSON wire protocol, but there's inside the W3C WebDriver, there's a spec, it's called WebDriver, and they're really, it's trying to make sure that all the browser vendors are implementing the server functionality, server functionality. So it works in the way that there are different servers, and they are able to automate different things. So for example, the Firefox driver, of course, is able to automate Firefox. You can control it, you can go to a new URL, find elements, and so on. But there are also other implementations of this protocol, like, for example, Selendroid or iOS driver. So last year at the CodeFest, my colleague François Renaud presented iOS driver. And so you can test different target systems. And on the other side, if you want to write your test, the good thing about this approach is, there's a well-defined protocol, there are multiple clients available, and if you, as a tester, prefer to write your tests in Ruby and use the testing framework Cucumber, you can do it. And on the other side, if you prefer Java and TestNG, you can do it as well. So you, as a tester, have the full flexibility to use the kind of testing setup, testing framework setup that you need, and that's really a big benefit, I would say. And the other thing is that if you compare it to other frameworks, so there are also other frameworks that have this kind of concept that you have a small server running on the device, and then the test is talking to this small server on the device, like, for example, Calabash Android. They don't have this well-defined protocol. That means you can only write your test in Cucumber and BDD. And what I like about the WebDriver spec, it's really a protocol. You can use it in whatever language you want, and the testing framework is not dictating you what approach you need to do, and you have the full flexibility, and there's really a big benefit out of it. Now I would like to talk about Selenium for Android, and the framework I created is Selendroid, so it's open source, and the name is the combination of Selenium and Android. And you find the documentation at selendroid.io, and we have committers from eBay, Salesforce, and also Facebook is very active, and in those companies it's also actively used. And so the committers read usually at Freenode, so there we have discussions, and if you face any kind of issue and you need help, so there you can meet us and ask questions. And in general, how does it work? So there are, the features, of course. So Selendroid, so there are also other mobile web drivers available. So for example, another framework is, for example, called Appium, built from the guys of Source Labs. But the difference to this framework is really, Selendroid is the only platform where you can test native and hybrid apps from API level 10 to 19. With Appium, you cannot do it out of the box. So in the end, Appium contains Selendroid to offer that feature, but Selendroid itself is the only one who has really that version range here. So if you also care about your users on older platforms, and you have maybe web views you need to automate, the only way with WebDriver is to use Selendroid. So for us, it's really important to be fully compatible with the JSON wire protocol, because we think what's already there really makes sense and is easy to use, and so that's really the stuff that we care about. We don't think that we need to reinvent the wheel and identify our own gestures and this kind of stuff. For us, the standardization and protocol is really important, and that's the stuff that we care about. So you don't need to learn any fancy concepts. You just use WebDriver as you know it. For example, that's with the gestures. You just use the advanced user actions API, and that's it. Another important thing is also that the app under test must not be modified. That means if your mobile team has just created an APK. You're getting this APK and you can test this. You don't need the sources, you don't need to compile something into the APK, you can just use it. The only thing that will be done is that the app will be resigned in order to be able to automate it, because there will be a Selenium server installed on the device, and those need both to have the same certificate. But it's just a resigning, nothing else. And if you test on real devices, so real devices are as well supported, then there's no jailbreak or rooting of the devices needed. And also, if you have started the Selenium standalone on one computer, you can interact on that computer with multiple emulators that are existing on the machine, and you can also interact with all the hardware devices that are plugged into this machine. And you can also hot plug the devices, so that means if you have started this Android server and later on plug in the phone, then automatically this device is available in the server and can be used for testing. And as I said already, so these advanced gestures like swiping, tapping, and this kind of stuff is supported and can be used. And yeah, now I'd like to talk about how you can, or show you how you can test native apps. And in general, the main thing is really how you find an element and then you interact with it. And so there we support different locators. So you can find elements by ID, by text, by partial text, by XPath, and also by the content description. That's also possible. And yeah, if you found an element, then you can just interact with it. And that's looking like this. So the example app I have here, it's so we created a special app. It's not looking nice, but the important thing is it's a test app that we have inside the project. We use it to verify that Selenium actually works fine. And there we're running our integration tests against it. And so here you see, for example, we are finding an element by ID, and here the ID is a start user registration. We are also able to take screenshots, and after the button has clicked, so then if we are at the next activity, we can just say, okay, yeah, find the text field with the input username ID and enter the username. Then we can also verify that the text is already entered, and on the other side we can clear the text and then also enter a new text, and then go to the register the user or click again on the button. So if you know WebDriver, that's nothing new. That's exactly, you just use the default bindings. You can use all language bindings, and it's working fine. Yeah, you can also test hybrid apps. So there is this Adobe PhoneGap app framework, and with that one you can create hybrid apps that are looking like native apps, but are in fact HTML and are built of HTML and JavaScript and CSS. And here you, on the right hand side, you have this kind of an example. It's just an employee directory, and here you see the only thing the difference that you need to do. So there is of course the native context. That's just the native UI, the native element. So here in this example, it's just the web view, but nothing else is there available. But then if you would like to test the web view itself, you need to switch to the context web view. And that means that afterwards all the commands that you send are sent directly to the web view and are executed there. So here, for example, I'm searching for an element, then I'm typing there his name, and then I'm searching again for this entry here, and then I just click on it. And yeah, if you have switched to the web view, you just use WebDriver as you know it. And yeah, you can also test the mobile web. The issue, so if you would like to test on Android, for example, your mobile web page in Chrome, I recommend using Chrome driver for Android. But if you would like to test the default browser, that is on older devices not automatable. So the only way you can get an impression how it looks like is, so what we did is here is we created an app that has only a web view and it's displayed full screen. So what you can do is here that you just say, okay, you use it as a default WebDriver instance. You just open an URL, you find any elements, you enter something, and you work with it. So, and yeah, that's also in the Selenium project. In the past, there was the Android driver, and so on the Selenium project, the official recommendation is now to use instead Selenium for that. And there are different demos available. They are on YouTube, and yeah, I would like to show you the native demo. And the other, if you are interested in the other demos, you can just go to the internet and watch them here. So what you can see here is here in the corner I started the Android server. It's just a jar you can download, and it contains all the dependencies. And here now I'm plugging in the phone. You see actually that the phone is identified. And now it works in the way that you go to the status page, and there you see the new device has been found. You see also that the test app, or that the app under test is available. And now in the test code, so here I'm using Java, I'm specifying exactly the app ID that is displayed on the hub page. And now I'm just stepping through the test. And here, what you see, what's happening now here is that for the test app, on runtime, a new Selenium server will be created, and that will be installed on the device. Both are matching to each other, so the Selenium server can talk to the test app, and now, yeah, step by step, the text is entered. And now, yeah, you have seen, you can also interact with the app, but also, of course, verify that yeah, certain text is displayed, and that makes, of course, also sense. So if you would like to get started quickly with Selenium, there's a web page that we created. There you find a full example, a project that you can just clone. There you find the test app, and you find all the steps that needs to be done to get started. And I hope, yeah, if you try it out, it works fine. And if not, please let us know, then we'll fix it. Another thing, so it's one thing to have a driver to be able to automate an app or a hybrid app or a web page. But on the other side, it's also very important, in what we have seen in our teams, that not all the people who are automating an Android app are able to write Android apps. So we really think it's very, very important to make it really, really easy for testers to test apps, and that's the reason why we recreated the Selenium Inspector. So you see here on the right-hand side, it's a tool. It's built into the framework, and you can see there's a screenshot of the app, and yeah, you see in the middle here the UI element tree. You can also see on the right-hand side the properties of the selected element. So you see the ID, for example, the name is in the end the content description, and also the value. You can also hover the elements on the screenshot, and automatically in the tree the right element is selected. And if you click on a button, for example, then automatically the actions are recorded. And you can also view the HTML of the web view. And there's a built-in XPath helper just to help you to build your XPath expressions. And so that's the first thing. So with that one, it's, for example, also larger screens or larger flows. So one of the really larger flows in the eBay app is the listing flow, and there are a lot of subscreens and a lot of elements you need to talk to. But with a tool like this, it's really, really easy to find those elements, to find the IDs, and to automate it. And but sometimes there are these scenarios where it's relatively hard to find the right locator for this specific element. And what I use is a kind of REPL. So I just use a Python command shell. And if you would like to have this as well, you can just go to this URL, and there you find the details about how to set it up. The good thing is you have just a command shell. You type, for example, driver find element by ID, and then you see directly, okay, does it work or not? If not, you use a different locator. You can play with the XPath expression, for example, and that's really powerful. And so you can also, if the session has been started, then you can also navigate through the app and then interact with the page that is currently displayed. So that's very, very powerful. And yeah. How much time do I have? Just to, 10, okay. Then okay. Maybe I can, so if someone is interested in this REPL, I can show you this later. So the other thing is, maintainable, how we write tests. So we write tests in the way that we write all the tests in Java, and we're using TestNG. And what you can see here, that we have different annotations, and we're preparing here the test data, and then we are going into the sign-in flow. A flow object or a flow is kind of a representation of a business scenario, and there you see the user is going over different dialogues, and that's just a delegation to the dialogue. And then in the dialogue or in the page object, also known from Selenium, you see that here you have the actual code to interact with that specific page, and here you find also the elements. And the good thing about that approach is really that if something in the app will change, and that will likely happen, then because most likely apps are also a living thing, and but then the good thing is you have one single place where you have to change it, and then it makes it easier really to maintain the test, and you can bring those costs down. Another topic I want to talk is about test infrastructure. A lot of tools that are available are easy to use, and the other thing is that if you have some tests to execute, it's fine, but if you would like to test a lot of tests, then it makes sense also to run them in parallel. So for example, if you have multiple apps, maybe in different versions, then in our case we have to test on 12 European sites and on different device types with different properties. So then really it makes sense to test in parallel, because that brings down the execution time, and therefore the Selenium grid can be used. And so this works like this. So usually you have the Selenium server and you have the client, and those are talking to each other. Then what you can do is you can put a grid hub in between. So now we have another component, but now the good thing is multiple clients can talk to this grid hub. And also the other thing is, to the grid hub you can register multiple servers from multiple machines. So that's really the way how it works. And the eBay is looking like this. So you see here, we having here our current test execution environment. It's currently virtualized using VMware and ASXi. And so there we have little machines for the grid hub for the different nodes. And we are able to provide new virtual machines, add them dynamically into the grid. And the good thing is also that we're using VM snapshots. That means that we can revert the VM after a certain time, after a certain number of test cases has been executed, back to the original state. So for example, if the emulator had some issues, we can just go back to the original state. And so here you see also the test engineers writing the tests in Java, and they are stored in Git, and then if a test is executed, so it can be executed on the local machine, but also in the central grid, and then all the backend servers are used. And we are writing the test in Java, then we can also interact with the API calls or with verify something in the database. And we can also use Jenkins to run everything. And the results are then displayed in the Jenkins server. So that's the high-level view about how we do it. And so if you dare have any detailed questions, we can also talk about this later. And I think it's nice if you have a driver for one platform, but it's also the thing that people are using more and more different devices. So for example, I would like to show you how it looks like to search on eBay on different platforms. So if you look, for example, for a traditional regular web test case, here we're using the Firefox driver. We're going to ebay.com, searching for the text field, and then just entering iPhone 5, and that's it. For iPhone, it's similar. So we are starting here the eBay app. We are finding the text field. We're entering the text iPhone 5, and here the thing that's different is we are also pressing the search button. And in Android, it's the same. So we just start the driver, then the app is there, and we're looking for the text field, entering text, and also pressing enter. And so it's also a big benefit for the testers because they don't need to learn a new API for every platform. So the API in the test is always the same. Sure, what you can see here, the locators, they are different. But in the end, it's also a different product. And if you automating a different product, then of course the IDs are different. Sometimes, in our case, the apps are released in different release cycles, and often features on iPhone app are earlier. So the first time a new feature is implemented is mostly on iPhone, and I know this a little bit later. So that's the thing why we have different test projects, and it's fine. But for the tester, it's really easy to get started with iPhone testing, but also Android testing. And now I would like to show you a video. It's about so the idea is really that our customers are using multiple devices. So for example, in the morning on the commute to work, they're using their work iPhone and they are looking for an item. They're adding the item to the web page, to the watch list. Thanks, Michael. They are adding it to the watch list, and then in the noon break, they have the idea that, okay, then they're buying it, they're using a normal browser, and then in the evening they're using their Android tablet to buy it and to pay it. And that's what we try to do here. So you see currently the item has been found, it has been added to the watch list of a user. Now it's still the same test. Now we're going, we're opening a browser, we're signing into the web page. So there's the item. So now we bought the item. And now, so starting an Android emulator is taking a little bit longer than an iPhone simulator. So the thing is that with the latest version of Android, so we released it a week ago, and with that one you can also interact with already started emulators. So that makes the test session creation much faster. So, and now the emulator has been started. It will be automatically unlocked. So that's currently the swipe gesture that you see. And my experience, at least with the Android eBay app, is that if I have to wait a longer time, it's usually because some data from the QA system is loaded. And here, what you see now, that's really a web view. And now we are interacting with the web view in the normal app. And then we are just switching back to the default context. and just paying it, and that's all. So you see that it's relatively easy also to automate the scenarios where users are going in one business scenario really over multiple platforms. And there's really, I would say, one of the most values that we see as well. So that was the cross-platform demo, and yeah, my conclusion is really the power of those mobile web browsers are really that they use the same approach for the web, and you can also use the same infrastructure as for the web. Of course, you have to install emulators. You need to make sure that the Android SDK is installed on these grid nodes. But in the end, it's the same stuff. And also, if you have already a lot of helpers to create your test reports and so on, you can just reuse them. Yeah, for us, it's really important that our business is really borderless. It's going from platform to platform, and in the test automation field, we need to be as well borderless. And we really think open source is really, really important. So the frameworks iOS driver and also Selenium, they are both open sourced, and that also means that we don't have an internal version. There is only the open source version. You get the latest features, and we are very open about what we do, and we share it with others. And yeah, Facebook is heavily committing also Source Labs and Salesforce, and yeah, we're really it's good. Open source is fun, and yeah, it also is good to work with the right people together. When writing tests, you need to have this software development skills, because even if the inspector has this kind of recording functionality, it's more meant like you get an idea how it looks like, but recording and playback doesn't make sense at all. That's my personal opinion, but the tool should help you to write tests as fast as possible. And with that, yeah, I also would like to say, if you're using the tool, if you're happy with it, then please share it. And also, if you're facing issues, please let us know. We try to fix the issues. Sometimes it's taking a little bit, but we take them seriously, and we are looking at it. And yeah, and with that, I would like to thank you. And if you have questions, then just one thing, if you would like to have a sticker of the Android, so to put it on your Mac or PC.
Hello.
Step by.
My name is Dennis, and I have two questions. First question, can Android generate user actions like screen rotate or power button pressed?
You can rotate your screen, and the power button, no, you cannot press the power button. There are other buttons that you can press. So, for example, the search key, back key, menu key, those you can set. And there's on the documentation under the native part, there you find what kind of keys you can set.
And the second question, how we can test the multi-thread app? No, I think tasks or maybe loaders appear we're using, and we have few running async tasks. How we can show or look how it will be work. Sorry for one bad English.
I'm not sure if I understood it correctly, but do you mean if you have something like a sign-in page where in the background a thread is running to do the sign-in, or and then you would like to wait until this is done? You mean that one?
Or
yeah, so
connection break, maybe.
A connection break, that's currently not possible. So one of the committers is working on a feature where you can enable the flight mode. So that's something that he's adding. But other stuff. So if the only thing that you can do is that if the connection is going away, you can. If then a certain text is displayed, you can search for the text. But I personally find this kind of scenarios, I would test them manually, because there I really see what's happening. But there's also with the version 0.9, there's a new feature where you can send commands via ADB. So usually there's also a lot of stuff that you can do with that one.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Max. In the example, you shown us an application where there were some progress dialogues. For instance, when user enters some data, progress dialog is shown, and then something else happens. My question is, how can we automate such tests? Because I can either show the progress dialog as you did, or I may just set some elements visibility from gone to visible when some data comes from server, or I may navigate user to the next activity, or add some new fragments, and etc. etc. So there is a plenty of options. And my question is how to make the automated test wait until this happens.
Yeah. So we have there in the Selendroid. So for the we have in the project a Selendroid driver for client bindings for Java, and there you find also waiting conditions and waiter class, and they are meant, for example, you can say something like wait until an activity is displayed. You can also wait until an element has a certain state. So this kind of stuff is there, and yeah, in some of the examples you see how it works, and if you need more details, just ask, for example, on the mailing list.
Есть еще.
Short question. Is it crash stable? So that what happens when the application under test crashes to the Selendroid? Does it crash as well, or remains its execution cycle?
It's a good question. So we added some functionality so that if the app is crashing, that then at least the error message that's going back to the client, it's much better that you know, okay, what happened. But if the Selendroid server itself will be closed, I don't know. So I know that, no. The thing is that the guys from Facebook and Simon Stewart, they work on it and they edit it, and but I have not looked into detail into it. Sorry.
Еще есть вопросы?
Hello, thank you for information. I also have two questions. First of all, as I see, I want to tell about native applications. As I see, for click on any elements, I should know only ID or XPath or something like that. I shouldn't know what type of elements, image, button, or something like that. Only identification.
No, you can if you want to look for a button, you can also look for the type. So you have two ways. There is you can find an element by tag name and by class name. Class name is the full class name of the UI widget, and the tag name is just a simple class name. So as an example, if you would like to find a button, you can just if you say find element by tag name, and then it's a button. And if you would like to use the full class name, then it's find element by then it's find element by class name, and then it's android.widget.button. So that can be used as well.
if I don't know what type, I can just write, click to this ID. Yeah?
You can just go to the inspector, and here you see on top you see the type. Here's, for example, written frame layout. So there you see the details you see here in the inspector.
Okay. And second question, should I have any key or signature of this build application for testing, or I can take any application and just...
You can take any application, and what you can do is that by default, the app is re-signed with the debug certificate that's available on the machine. But if you specify, when starting this Android server, you can specify a key store, and then this key store will be used to sign the app. So that's it's possible.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Hello. 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 Thank you, speech. I have one question.
So in your examples, you don't switch application context, so it's just a native application and then web view. Can I test some application switches? For example, I may create intent user and then open gallery and select some image and then return to my application. Can I test these cases in Android?
Yeah, so it's possible, but it's a kind of workaround. So the issue is that this Android is based on the Android instrumentation framework. So only the process of the app test can be automated. So and the gallery is a different process, so it cannot be automated per se. So what we do is that we interact with the. So we start the gallery, then. What we then do is that we tap on the gallery image per location, so X and Y. It's not perfect, but so we can do it with ADB tap. So ADB is then key event and then tap. So and that is then working over multiple processes. So it's there you cannot use the WebDriver API. It's just I can show you an example.
Okay, thank you.
I have one more question. It is about how should we test a list view, because most time we don't use IDs for each element in the list view, and we don't know where exactly will be this list view on each device. So I believe we should specify the exact position of the element to click on it.
Thanks for the question, it's very good. Because the issue with the list view is that not all the elements, so if you have, for example, what we have seen in the Android app of eBay, where there were all these countries listed. So the initial list of countries that is displayed, if you look into the model, what kind of values are available, only those elements that are displayed are available in the model. And so what I did is, I just looked I searched for the element by text. You can also use, so that's working fine. But you just say driver.find by link text. So for example, I was looking for United Kingdom, then it was not there. Then I said, okay, please swipe now for 100 pixels. Then have another lookup, is now United Kingdom available? If not, do the next swipe and just do it like this. I know usually if you do something with WebDriver, you expect that if you're searching an element and if it's not displayed, that it also finds it. In this case, with the list view, it's very, very specific, and because, yeah, it's if this scrolling should be done there or not, there are different opinions there, and so you can do it, but yeah, you need to do something on your own.
And if I have an expanded list view, I need to manually implement click on each group item, then scroll through the children and find by text. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Друзья, есть еще вопросы? Но если нет, то тогда давайте поблагодарим Доминика. Thank you, very much. Я думаю, что его можно поймать в кулуарах и